Uh, it's important to understand the nature of liberalizing Indian state in order to provide some kind of perspective to the ongoing people's movements. In the last decade, we have seen very vibrant people's movement. The central theme of these people's movements which are non-party movements. It's very sad to note that the Communist parties, except the radical left CPM groups, neither the CPI nor CPM are in the forefront of these struggles. These are all autonomous grassroots people's movements. I'm not just talking about Dalit movement. I'm talking about the movements which could broadly be called as movements responding to the liberalizing Indian state's developmental paradigm. Because the developmental paradigm of the developmentality of Indian state has in a sense debunked the earlier understanding of the Indian state, sophisticated kind of understanding. Indian state is in fact in a very crude, naked form is acting the behest of, on behalf of the greedy corporate capitalist class. These policies, whether it's mining, special economic zones, or major projects which involve the stakes of the contractor business class, etc. So all these so-called developmentalist projects, in fact, have a direct impact on the people in the sense that they deprive them of their access to land, deprive them of their access to the natural resources, like water, deprive them of their access to livelihoods. So India today is going through a deep socio-economic crisis, and the central principal cause of this crisis is the state, because the state has abdicated its responsibility of the welfare of the people. If you look at the state's developmental policies, the stated policy objective was to create employment and livelihood for the people till 1980s. In 1985, you have the new textile policy, because the handloom industry is the major industry after agriculture, which employs used to employ around 2 crore people directly and another 2 crore indirectly. Here in 1985, the government of India came out with a policy called the new textile policy, which very clearly stated the policy shift from it says that so far we have paid attention to employment, now we need to pay attention to productivity and the quality cloth. So shift from employment to productivity is not just a rhetorical shift, it's a major substantial policy shift. As a result of this, the welfare of the vulnerable sections of society is almost thrown to the winds, and productivity and high capital, high technology intensive industrialization in the textile sector is thought to be projected as a priority, because India has to become competitive. So if the traditional artisans have to survive, they have to compete with the other sectors in the international market. So look forward to the international market. There's a kind of struggle. So in a sense, the policies that have come into force, say from 1990s onwards, as part of the liberalization process, are in fact could be seen as a continuation of this major policy shift. So therefore, the people find themselves wittingly or otherwise in serious contestation, serious conflict with the Indian state. So therefore, we need to understand the nature of the Indian state. The Indian state today is pro-corporate and anti-people, very clearly. And unfortunately, most of these people struggle because of the absence of a political party. And to put it in the Gramscian language, today we need a modern prince. Gramsci visualized an alternative radical political vision in which the Communist Party would act as modern prince on behalf of the people. Today, there's no modern prince. You just have electorally motivated political party. So a major shift that we see in the last 2 or 2.5 decades, especially the post-emergency period, is that no political party, whether it's the liberal political parties or the left, perhaps except the BJP, at least in the Ayodhya, post-Ayodhya phase, stated to create a Hindu Rashtra as its political project. One may disagree with that, but it definitely has a long-term political project. The Congress Party, the Communist parties have no political program. They have no well-defined, stated vision of Indian society, politics and economy. And their only vision is electorally driven. Elections. That's the total preoccupation. So therefore, to win the election, it is very sad when the people's movement is happening in some place. Say for instance, in Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh, you have special economic zone movement going on for quite some time, for the last 4-5 years. And the leadership of this movement comes from grassroots. Local NGOs, civil society people and the farmers are leading the movement, independent of any political party. And when there is a halchal happening, an activity happening, then political parties come and try to express their sympathy. That is the state of even the Communist Party. Communist Party leaders go and express sympathy. They are supposed to lead the movement. The people's movements have to be led by the Communist Party. That's the historical responsibility of the Communist Party. Especially the responsibility becomes all the more significant. Okay, when the adversary is the corporate capitalist class. Okay, greedy capitalist class. You know the case of Gali Janardhan Reddy. Who should lead the movement against Gali Janardhan Reddy's kind of illegal mining? It is the Communist Party which should. Instead, the local people using their own resources are leading. So therefore, this is the kind of situation. So the state finds some kind of ally even in the opposition parties, because there is a tacit agreement among the political parties on the neoliberal agenda of the Indian state. So therefore, state and its allies, which includes even the Communist Party, okay, is the adversary of the people's movement. So people's movements have to understand this kind of very dangerous kind of kaleidoscopic scenario that has emerged in the last decade or so. So therefore, the challenge is quite formidable before the people who are struggling for their livelihood, for the social security, for environment, okay, for their habitat. Because once you lose your village, you lose your identity. You lose the cause of your existence. So that is the kind of crisis that we are passing through. So therefore, I think we need to understand it. I mean, it's the responsibility of the intellectuals, responsibility of the scholars to highlight this new phenomenon and alert the people to understand the changing dynamics of Indian society and politics.